Welcome to our fall 2025 open house for University College Dublin. We're so excited that you're joining us. As we trickle in here, we're going to do just a little poll to highlight just some of the activities that you can do while you're in Ireland with us. If this will let me go to the next screen. There we go. We're going to put up a poll in a second that you'll be able to select which activity that you would like to do. Starting with A here, attending a sporting event in Croke Park. You can see some different Irish traditional sports here, such as Gaelic football, hurling, and camogie. You can see that there's rugby post and a soccer net. For Gaelic football, that would be both. It's 3 points through the goal, 1 point through the post. We also have camping or surfing on Achill Island, just one of the many stops on the Atlantic Highway. So lots of great options there for seeing some amazing coastlines, beautiful beaches, especially Keel and Keem here, beaches on Achill Island. You can actually see some crystal blue water in Ireland. Then we have some of just one of our historical experiences, just one of the many castles in Ireland that are much older than the United States of America itself. Lots of cool museums and different castles and ruins to check out. We also have an Irish fry in downtown Dublin. Lots of great options for foods, not only on campus, but also in downtown Dublin as well. I know that one of my colleagues, Sarah's favorite option on campus is what they would call a chicken fillet roll with the tea. Is very good in the Centra. Also hiking the Wicklow Mountains. We're only about a 45-minute bus ride from the Wicklow Mountains as well. So if you are a hiker, we're very close to some great options for hiking. And then finally, we're also pretty close to the 40-foot. So if you're also a swimmer or just enjoy being in the water, you can check out some of those options there. So whatever would be your first go-to, feel free to select and we'll see kind of which ones are the most popular there. So just getting some of those votes in now, which is great. I see. Oh, sporting events are pretty high. Also, too, at Aviva Stadium, Croke Park, lots of different events. So not just sports, but we'll see some singers there as well. We've had Taylor Swift, lots of big artists. A lot of times if they're doing their European tour, they'll definitely make a stop in Dublin. So you're very close to some really cool events there as well. And I think Croke Park is winning it. We also see Rock of Cashel, very cool. So those castle experiences as well. We do have Dublin Castle in Dublin City as well, so you'll be able to be very close to some of those options as well. Wicklow Mountains, perfect, yeah. Amazing. So we're gonna end the poll there. Thank you guys for participating. And then you should be able to see the results there as well. But while you're with us doing a full-time undergraduate degree, you'll have lots of opportunities and lots of times to be able to do more than one of these activities, if not all. So amazing. So over the next hour and a half or so, we're going to be talking about not only Ireland and Dublin, but a little bit more about the University College of Dublin and what it's like to attend UCD. We have about 11 students with us, current students that are from North America that will be chatting about their experiences as well. So you'll definitely get some of the important logistical information, such as scholarships and funding, life at UCD, but we're also going to have some of our students chat about those experiences. And then we'll have some more time for questions, Q&A at the end of the presentation, as well as our breakout sessions where we'll break out by different academics. So if you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A throughout the session, but we'll start to answer those questions as we get towards the end of the session there. And I'll pass it off to Jim to start our introductions.
Great. Thanks, Tessa, and thanks for joining us, everyone. We wanted to take a moment to introduce our team and who's here to support you as you apply to UCD and consider your options in Dublin. And you're lucky that there's a fantastic team here to support you based all across North America. We're normally led by our regional director, Shannon Farley. She's currently on maternity leave, so she's taking some well-deserved time off with her new twins, but she'll be back in the new year and ready to help get involved and help you all transition to Dublin. My name is Jim Pearson. I'm the regional manager for the North America team, so I help to coordinate our recruitment and admissions activities. I'm based in Chicago and I've been with UCD for 11 years, so it's been a joy to help so many students over the last decade or so find their way to Dublin. So thanks very much for joining us, everyone, and we'll let Bridie introduce herself now as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I am Bridie Troy. I know I've met many of you already, and I look forward to meeting the ones that I haven't. I am also based in Chicago. So I've traveled a lot to Texas and Colorado as well. I see you, all of you there. I am the admissions manager for North America, so I handle the applications that come through and coordinating with that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chelsea Weaver. I am based in Seattle, Washington State, though I am clearly not located there right now based on what I'm wearing. I'm the recruitment manager for North America. So really, I just work with this entire incredible team to meet you all initially and help you throughout the process from this point of inquiry until you get to campus. So we're honestly so delighted that you're here to learn more. Also, I'll just introduce another colleague that's not physically present on the call today. Kendall Hook is our engagement manager, so she really works on partnerships. She does a lot of traveling. She's very involved with this team, and she is based in Nashville. Tessa?
Hi, everyone. So my name is Tessa Rendina. I'm based in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. So I cover a lot in the Mid-Atlantic region, including New Jersey, the Philly area, and Baltimore as well. I'm at a year and a half with UCD and was inspired to join the UCD team after attending graduate school in Ireland.
Hi everyone, my name is Sarah Keniston. I am also an admissions officer with the North America team. I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts, and I've also been with the team for about a year and a half now. And I got involved with UCD because I did my undergrad degree for 4 years at UCD coming over from the States. So I've very much been in your shoes before and really happy to help with any questions that you may have.
Hi everyone, my name is Carrie Collins/Connolly. Process of changing my name. I'm based here in Dublin, but I'm originally from Chicago. I've lived in Ireland about 8 years now, and I've been with UCD for 2 years, and I am an admissions officer.
Thank you, everyone, for introducing yourselves. You'll hear a little bit more from some of my colleagues throughout. Just to start off, we're going to do a quick trivia question. I have to highlight this photo, though, before we actually go into the trivia. We do have lots of swans on campus, and actually the last time I was on campus, there were baby swans in the main lake. So you'll see that there's a few different lakes around campus, and there's a secret lake as you walk around. We definitely recommend looking for it, but there's these two big main ones, and you'll see lots of swans in there. So even though a lot of international schools don't quite have a mascot, the swan would be like our unofficial mascot that we love. So for the trivia question, we are going to be looking for whoever is the fastest with the correct answer. The first trivia question is, what globally popular sports video game features one of UCD's athletic teams? So we'll be watching out for whoever's first.
And I believe the chat is disabled, but please feel free to use the Q&A feature
Oh, thank you.
to type your answer. You don't need to form it in a question format. So whoever is the first to respond correctly, and Tessa, I'll have you repeat it.
Yes.
I'll just take note of your name and I'll reach out at a later date to make sure you get your swag.
So just to repeat, the question is, what globally popular sports video game features one of UCD's athletic teams?
And it looks like we got a winner very quickly. It is Connell or Conal. I will take note of your name and I'll reach out to you. One of us will reach out to you at a later date to get you your swags. The answer was FIFA.
Do you see someone noted Ted Lasso? Unfortunately, not the correct answer for this question, but we all love Ted Lasso on our team over here, which is great. But yeah, so our team has been featured in the game FIFA. Our soccer team regularly performs in the Irish Premier League. We had quite a few Olympians in the Paris Olympics. But if you're sitting here like, I just want to play the sport for fun, we do have options for that too. But we do have a range of teams. So soccer goes from 5v5 pickup all the way to potentially the Irish Premier League. But thank you guys for participating in that trivia question. If you didn't get this one, we will have one later on as well. And I will pass it off to Chelsea to talk a little bit more about Ireland.
Wonderful. Thanks so much, Tessa, and thanks to everybody for playing along with the trivia. Before we dive into UCD specifics, we wanted to start a little bit more general, and you're going to hear from some current students in just a couple minutes, so that'll be nice and spread throughout. You won't just be hearing from Team North America. So first of all, why might you consider just generally studying, being a college student in Ireland? So first of all, Ireland is the only EU country where the first language is English. Fun fact, there are two first languages in Ireland, both English and the Irish language. However, you do not need to know Irish in order to live in Ireland. All of your academics will certainly be taught in English unless you are specifically studying the Irish language, but we certainly encourage you to learn some Irish when you're over because you will see it on road signs and everywhere in the Republic of Ireland. Really importantly, Ireland is the second safest country in the world currently, updated in 2025. We are number 2 after Iceland on the Global Peace Index. Currently, I know we have some Canadians on this call as well, but currently, speaking about the US is 128 on the Global Peace Index. So this is a really amazing consideration. Certainly, Ireland is known as being very, very globally connected and very international, very multicultural. The same can be said for UCD as well. Obviously, we all know that it's beautiful. It's an island, very gorgeous coastline all the way around. Lots of traveling, lots of amazing sights. Very, very green island. And for such a small island, there really is so much to see. Ireland has the youngest population in all of Europe, and Dublin is also the youngest city in Europe. So a third of the population is under the age of 25 and half are under the age of 34. So the majority of the population, specifically in Dublin, is college students and young professionals. So it's really, I can't think of a better city or country in the world to be a college student. And then most importantly, something we really want to highlight here and encourage you that you are reading the correct information online, hopefully. If you hold a US or Canadian passport, you do not need a visa to be a full degree seeking student in Ireland. So we'll talk a little bit more about that, throughout this journey before you get to campus, but you do not need to apply for any immigration or visa paperwork before you actually move to Ireland, which is certainly a huge advantage. I'm actually, before I talk a little bit more about why Dublin, I'm going to hand it over to Henri for a couple of minutes here and just want to ask Henri, he's one of our North American ambassadors, and I want to ask him specifically what he loves about living in Dublin.
All right. Hi, everybody. I'm Henri. I'm a stage 4 mechanical engineering student at UCD. So I just want to talk about how Dublin is a very, very fun city. What I really love most about it is that it's very familiar to a lot of American cities, but it's also quite fresh. So you'll see a lot of street performers and live music in Dublin. It's very vibrant. There's a lot of great malls. So I like to go to the Dundrum Shopping Center, and there's a lot of local Irish stores and cafes and bakeries. But also you'll recognize a lot of places from America, like Starbucks, Five Guys, and Domino's. So you'll never really miss that, fun taste of home. There's also a lot of fun things to do, like pottery painting, mini golf, and cinema, and escape rooms. One of the best things that I really like about Dublin is that there's a lot of museums as well, and all of them are amazing. So if there's any history fans or Viking fans, I'm both. It's a really great place. Dublin's also really well known for its nightlife. So there's a lot of pubs with a lot of live traditional Irish music. And then there's also a lot of bars and nightclubs with people who are like really lighthearted and they love a good conversation. So I found that you'll never really have trouble making a friend in Dublin. Personally, I'm a big nature fan as well. So Dublin is a really great place because there's a lot of parks and a lot of nature trails. One of my favorite ones is one in Howth, where you can walk along the coast, and it's really, really nice. You can also take a bus from Dublin to the Wicklow Mountains, just down south of Dublin, and it's a really good hike. Um, Another thing that I have found about Dublin is the huge work and internship opportunities. So you'll find that there are a bunch of big American/international companies that do business in Ireland. So you'll find things like Google, Microsoft, and Intel, Boston Scientific, all of those guys. And many of them offer graduate opportunities or internships for students from colleges in Dublin, like UCD. So living in Dublin is actually an excellent way to get your foot in the door to work at these big companies. And the international status of living in Ireland is really, really good for making connections. Thank you.
Henri, you're amazing. Thank you for that truly comprehensive and incredible overview. Most of our team has lived in Dublin at some point, but it's been a number of years, so it's really, really great to hear your current, fresh student perspective. So thank you so much. And for anybody who was a little confused when Henri mentioned stage 4, I just wanted to say that in Ireland at Irish universities, so year 4, we don't use the terms freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, etc. It's either year 1 or stage 1. So you'll hear both of those, and that is what Henri meant by that. We had a great question come in the chat before I jump into why Dublin, and the question was, okay, I don't need a visa to study in Ireland, but can I work without a visa? And the answer is yes. Instead of applying for a visa before moving to Ireland, Ireland typically gives you 90 days or 3 months to register with immigration after you arrive in Dublin, which is amazing. It's a really low stress, straightforward process. And once you are registered with immigration and you have your immigration permission card, then you can work while you're a student in Dublin, even though you don't technically have a visa. So you can work 20 hours per week during term time and 40 hours a week on any academic breaks. Okay. A little bit more about why Dublin. We're going to hear from another student, then we're going to launch into UCD and continue on from here. So keep the questions coming. Feel free to also use the Q&A or the chat, whatever is more convenient for you. So specifically about Dublin, I'm going to try to not repeat anything that Henri said. Very, very comprehensive. But I just want to say that, depending on where you are in Dublin City, it can either feel like a very big city, very, very bustling. There's a lot of people. There's people from pretty much every country in the world living in Dublin. But also you can find a lot of really great pockets of the city where you can feel like you're in a smaller village. So there really is something for everyone. It's a very walkable city, and our airport is really, really well connected to the rest of the world, not just to Europe, but to everywhere. And we're going to talk a little bit more about actually getting to the airport, but you can easily get to the airport from UCD's campus as well. Dublin is a cultural and fun capital city. So we've already talked about how vibrant it is. There really is a year-round calendar of events, certainly culture and entertainment. So from some sporting events for, Irish sports that were already mentioned earlier, to also American football games that you can attend, certainly St. Patrick's Day, lots of different festivals. So there really is something, no matter what you're most passionate about, or maybe exposure to new things in your life, right? It's bustling, there's something always happening. I like to refer to Dublin as like a mini Silicon Valley. It really is like the mini Silicon Valley of Europe, of the EU. Henri mentioned this as well, a lot of multinational companies, American companies. It's really, really well connected across all industries. So a lot of great internship and work opportunities. And then I would love to hand it over to Sophia, just to talk for a couple minutes. We're going to turn into talking about UCD specifically now. Sophia, I'd love to hear from you specifically why you chose to study at UCD.
Yeah, so hi everybody. I'm a second year law student here at UCD, and the reason why I chose UCD specifically was because for my degree and for my course, they really made sure that as an international student coming in, I felt very welcomed and I felt very comfortable with the space. Beforehand, we have peer mentors, so you're able to tour the campus early, meet people in your course before term starts, and all of those good things. So it was really nice on that international perspective. And also, UCD is one of the very few international universities that actually has a campus. So a lot of other universities are going to be spread across whatever city they're in, whereas UCD specifically has its own small community similar to a US university, which really made me feel comfortable moving all the way away from California, to know that I have an actual campus where I can walk 10 steps and go get groceries, or I can walk another 2 minutes to my lecture hall. My friends are 15 minutes down the library, whereas if I went to another university within Europe, that might not be the case. And then I suppose finally on the global team specifically has a lot of resources for international students, and I always felt like they were very welcoming and had like they would always answer all my questions, whether it was about moving, whether it was during the move in, or even after that timeline. There was always a lot of touch points and people who were always ready to help for whatever I needed. So yeah.
Thank you so much, Sophia. Really appreciate your very kind insight there. It's always wonderful for us to hear this feedback as well, so thank you. And shout out to our colleagues who work in UCD Global on campus as well, because they're absolutely amazing, as Sophia said. Okay, getting into the nitty-gritty with UCD, I promise you won't have to listen to me for too much longer here. We're gonna pass it around, but now why would you consider, we've learned about Ireland, we've learned a little bit about Dublin. Why would you consider UCD? There's a lot of really amazing Irish universities. There's quite a number of universities in Dublin. So why UCD? What makes UCD stand out? Sophia already covered this, but we have one of the largest urban campuses in all of Europe. So it's really unintentionally modeled after kind of your average large US state school. The campus setting is really beautiful. It's really green. We have a lot of green space, but it's also really walkable. So instead of having a small city center or very urban campus, or a campus like Oxford where it's spread across the city and there's no central campus, we have a central campus, and it's big, but it also has the added advantage of being a 20-minute bus ride from the city center. So it's very easy to access all of the wonderful things that Dublin offers. So that definitely makes us stand out amongst the other Irish universities and other universities in Europe. We are sandwiched between the Dublin Bay, which is an extension of the Irish Sea, and the Dublin and Wicklow Mountains as well. So a lot of really beautiful green rolling hills. You mentioned this already, but really great hiking up in Wicklow and elsewhere. Student population wise, we have just under 19,000 undergraduate students. So in US standards, that would really be considered like a mid-sized university. In Ireland, we're the largest university, so it is considered a large university. We also have a lot of graduate students as well. Again, Sophia already said we have strong student and international student supports. You'll see it on the next slide in a second, but we have the most number of international students on campus, and a long history of welcoming international students. So with that, you get a really well built-in support system when you're a student, before you come over and then when you're a student. And then if you're worried, thinking in the future, like, okay, maybe I really want to consider going to college in my home country because I want to be able to really stay connected with alumni. That's not something you need to be concerned about, because we have over 41 alumni chapters and over 300,000 global alumni, and there are plenty across North America as well. And I think this is my last slide, and we'll move on because we have a lot of information to cover. We are, if you're concerned about rankings, we are in the top 1% of universities and colleges worldwide. So 32% of our student population are from outside of Ireland. On the flip side of that, that means 68% of the population is Irish. So it will always still be you'll have an Irish experience at UCD. You will meet a lot of Irish students, and will always be predominantly Irish, but a really sizable international student population from 152 countries currently based on our campus. You can see our North American representative there in terms of who we have on campus. So 48 states plus DC and 8 Canadian provinces represented by full degree students on campus currently. We also have a bunch of study abroad and exchange students too. Certainly, if you're visiting, reach out to us. There are on-campus tours available. And if you're visiting in the spring, you might be able to meet with some of our North American ambassadors as well to chat with them so they can answer your questions. And we have been #1 in Ireland for employment for quite a number of years, I believe about 6 years now. So yes, thank you so much.
Thanks, Chelsea. Something else that we are also #1 in Ireland in is sustainability, showing our sustainable efforts as a campus. But you'll also see that reflected within our program offerings as well. Some of you have already maybe applied to some of our sustainability degrees. So for undergraduate, those key highlighted ones would be our Bachelor of Science in Sustainability with different streams within science, business, and social sciences. So thinking about people, planet, and profit all together, that triple bottom line. And then we also have our Sustainable Food Systems degree as well. This is one of our newest degree options on campus. Really for students who are passionate about the 3 pillars of sustainability. So thinking about environmental, economic, and social. So again, all of those things together and intersecting and applying those to all the parts of the food chain. This program explores the challenge of sustainably producing food to meet the nutritional requirements of a growing world population while protecting the planet's limited natural resources. Last time I was on campus, I actually had the chance to talk to one of our faculty about some of this research and how they're really looking at how to create a more sustainable diet while still hitting all of those nutrition markers that humans need. We also have our environmental and sustainable chemistry program as well. And these are just thinking about undergrad. We have quite a few graduate programs that focus across the different disciplines in climate change and conservation. And many of those programs are 1 year, some 2 years, depending on the specialty. So some really cool programs to check out there as well. When we're thinking about the UN Sustainable Development Goals, what I would recommend is if you have an interest in it and you're looking at our different undergraduate major offerings, go on the university web pages for those specific courses. So if you do UCD Dublin and then the course name, it will come up and you can actually see what specific United Nations Sustainable Development Goals that program is hitting. So I think that's really cool to check out. You can also see a full module list if you would like to see more in-depth descriptions of those classes or what we call modules. So a class would be a module, a course would be a major. If you want to see more about our sustainable initiatives, I definitely recommend checking out our Green Guide online as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Natalie to talk a little bit more about her experience as a sustainability major.
Hi guys, my name's Natalie and I'm from California and I do sustainability with the business and economics stream. And honestly, there's so many things I could go into about like why I'm happy I chose this course, but I wanted to highlight a few projects I've worked on that have been really cool. One was we went to Copenhagen to learn all about their sustainable infrastructure. And like not only did we get the chance to learn all about their infrastructure and what they do and with our professors and use all of our past module work to like make an amazing presentation about something in the city. We also got to learn like on the ground about like professionals in sustainability. And I just feel like on that trip, UCD did such a good job at introducing us to what our career in sustainability would look like. And then just like overall being in sustainability, like at first it kind of seems pretty broad, but like the three pillars, society, economics, and environmental, like you can explore all of them in your first a year. And then in second year, you get to choose after learning a little bit about all of them. And then in each stream, you have like internship coordinators and people to just give you like so much support on your career. So personally for me, that's been like one of the best things about UCD is just like how much support they have for your career, and that's their main priority. Um, and also kind of a topic with the support, but another amazing thing I did was the Innovation Academy at Deloitte. And like the class I did was specifically sustainability focused, but you got set with a team and you did a design thinking sprint and they taught you this like amazing system to use when you're designing a solution for something. And it just was fascinating to learn about that at Deloitte and also yeah, see where sustainability is going to go in these like really big, huge companies. Obviously, it's a tough a course because it's not all positive, but it's really interesting and it's really important, and UCD does a great job at delivering it. So, yeah.
Hi everyone. Sorry, I'm here to talk about admissions. So you can apply directly through that link that we posted on the website or via Common App. If you're applying to medicine, you can apply through Atlantic Bridge. A little bit different than the US, whereas in the US you kind of apply to like the general university. At UCD, you apply directly to your specific program. So for example, you would apply to the Bachelor of Engineering, Bachelor of Science, Bachelor of Commerce. We accept, but not all programs will require SAT, ACT, or AP exams. UCD has a do no harm policy. So that means that if you submit these scores, they only help your application. They will not hurt it in any way. So we highly recommend if you have these scores to upload them. We also accept IB, French Baccalaureate, and other international exams. It's a really academically focused application, so we are looking at, your overall GPA, those standardized test scores if you include them. So it's a pretty straightforward process, and if you look at our entry requirements, which can be found online, and our US curriculum specific, it will show you exactly what you need to apply, especially if you're applying with standardized test scores or without. And key dates to note are that our applications open October 1st and they're rolling admissions, so you typically find out in about 4 to 6 weeks. The priority deadline of December 1st is for applications to our Global Excellence Scholarship, which is between 50% to 100% off tuition. And our applications close July 1st. Clinical programs have different timelines. And while the applications close on July 1st, we highly recommend applying sooner as certain courses, especially popular ones, will close once they reach capacity. And then I'm going to pass you over to Bridie to talk more about the application process.
Great. Thank you so much, Carrie. So as I mentioned, I am the admissions manager. I do hope that most of you are at least at the applicant stage at this point. But if not, you still have time, as Carrie mentioned. Our priority deadline of December 1st is mainly if you want to be considered for those Global Excellence Scholarships, but you can apply well into the spring as well. We do not have a preference for applications submitted directly on our website or via Common App. You could definitely apply whichever way is most convenient for you. You will apply to your specific programs if you've applied on Common App and then later you want to apply for more programs. You will be able to do that for the one-time application fee. I strongly recommend submitting all of your transcripts and all of your test scores that you have. As mentioned, we have a do no harm policy, so if you've taken AP exams in the past, if you've taken multiple SATs, ACTs, please send them all of our way. If they don't help you, they won't hurt you. We'll just disregard them. When you submit your application, you should hear back within 4 to 6 weeks. This could be a little bit longer during peak application times. Like right now, this is a very high application time for us. So it might be a little longer, but on average, it should be about 4 to 6 weeks until you receive a decision. Once you get a decision, either an offer to UCD or saying like, sorry, you didn't get into this particular program, you will receive an email telling you to check your application status on SysWeb, which is our student hub. You will log in, and then if you did get an offer, you will see an offer letter in there. You would now be an offer holder, so you've moved up a step. Once you're an offer holder, you can view your letter in SysWeb. This letter will outline the tuition for your course, which course you got into, if you received a scholarship. So if you received an international student scholarship, you will find out about that at the time that you receive your offer. There's no separate application required for that scholarship. You will have a different offer letter for every single course that you applied to. So if you applied for 4 different courses and you get into all of them, then you have 4 different offer letters outlining 4 different tuition fees and 4 different scholarship amounts. So these scholarships are not transferable between programs. So if you got a great scholarship to your second choice course and no scholarship to your first choice course, you can't combine them or switch them. Speaking of scholarships, if you have applied by December 1st, then you will get a decision in time to apply for a Global Excellence Scholarship by February 1st. This does not mean that you have to apply for the scholarship by December 1st. I don't even think that's possible. It's not open yet, but definitely apply to UCD by December 1st so that you can apply for the scholarship later on. As mentioned, you'll get the International Student Scholarship. You'll be alerted to that when you see your offer letter, but you do need to apply separately for the Global Excellence Scholarship, the 50% or 100% one. Both of these scholarships are merit-based, but the Global Excellence Scholarship also has a short answer component. When you're an offer holder, you'll view your letters. Then at this point, you can start learning more about the different courses, making your decisions. We will have in-person and virtual offer holder events in the spring for students. So you can talk to other North American students, learn more about what it's like to go to UCD. It'll be very similar to this, but maybe a little bit more tailored to somebody who has already received an offer. And for most courses, you will have until that national deadline of May 1st to make a decision. So we're not asking you to commit to us any earlier than any of the US schools. This December 1st priority deadline is not binding. It is not early action. It's really just a priority decision, but there's no decision being made on your end from there. Once you do accept your offer, you are now an accepted student. Great. This means that you can start booking on-campus accommodation. We'll explain a little bit more a little later. And you can really start getting involved in the logistics of moving to Ireland. So make sure your passport is up to date. Once you graduate from high school, we will need the official transcripts for your grades sent directly from your high school counselor. We're going to need your official test scores sent directly from the College Board, from ACT. We'll need all of this over the summer before you start at UCD. And then usually for most courses, to hold your spot, you will have to pay a 500 euro deposit. And now I'll talk a little bit about the finances. I know this is on a lot of people's minds, especially I see that we do have some parents in the group today, and so I'm sure you have questions about this. UCD is pretty comparable to a US university. I would say we're about the cost of an out-of-state public school, so we're a lot cheaper than a private university, but maybe a little more expensive than in-state. Based on whatever course you have, your tuition will range from about 20 to 23,000 euro to about 30,000 euro, which is about $25,000 to $33,000 a year, depending on the exchange rate. This is always changing. And this tuition is locked in. So unlike a lot of other universities, we do not raise tuition on you every year. Whatever the tuition rate listed on your offer letter says, that's what you're going to be paying for all 3 or 4 years, however long your course is. So that's kind of nice, some peace of mind. You don't need to worry about, increasing costs. If you're interested in clinical programs like veterinary medicine or medicine, these would be a little bit more expensive. And when you do get your decision from us, you will see your tuition rate listed on that offer letter. The cost of living in Dublin is pretty similar to the cost of living in any large city. It's going to be a little cheaper than some of the coastal cities like New York, San Francisco, LA. It'll be cheaper than those. I would say it's pretty comparable. I'm from Chicago. It's pretty comparable to Chicago. And you can kind of see a breakdown of what you can expect to be spending there. And I'll just move on to the next slide. So for funding, now we know how much it's going to cost. How are we going to pay for it? As I mentioned, there are two different types of scholarships: an international student scholarship, which is about 15 to 30% of your tuition, completely merit-based, no additional application. You find out at the time that you receive an offer if you got the scholarship. That scholarship is applied to your tuition every single year of your degree, as long as you maintain the terms and conditions, which is generally about a B average you have to maintain to keep this scholarship going. Now, the second scholarship we have is the Global Excellence Scholarship. This one is 50% or 100% of your tuition. Again, apply to your account every single year as long as you maintain your grades and you follow the terms and conditions. You do have to apply separately for this. As we mentioned, I know I'm beating a dead horse. I just want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to apply for this scholarship. And that application is due February 1st. A few colleges do have specific scholarships, and once you receive your offer, if your college does have a scholarship being offered, then they will email you about this specifically. Now, UCD is on the FAFSA, so we do accept U.S. federal student loans. For undergraduate students, typically these are direct loans, which are taken out in your name, as well as Parent Plus loans that your parents can take out for you. These go a long way towards paying for tuition and cutting through the cost of attendance once you're there. We are not allowed to accept Pell Grants. This is not a UCD policy. This is a Department of Education policy. They don't allow you to use those internationally. So if you are relying on those, just consider that you won't be able to bring those abroad with you. We do accept 529 plans, however. We have many students using their 529 plans with us. It really depends on your plan provider. However, I've been working with UCD for 5 years and I've never had a 529 plan provider say that they won't send their money internationally. We also do accept GI Bill for many programs as well.
Thank you, Bridie. And I'm going to introduce another one of our North American ambassadors, Ella, just to chat a little bit more what it's like living on campus on our on-campus residences.
Hi, my name's Ella, and I'm in my final year of creative and cultural industries. So I lived on campus for my first 2 years of my degree, and to just say a bit about the on-campus accommodations, I know some of you may have already researched, but there are a ton of different options that sort of fit like lots of different um, there's a range of prices and a range of sort of layouts. A lot of the accommodations are en suite, which is sort of unique to, I guess, like the non-American experience. You might be used to like, oh, you'll have to share a room, share a bathroom with a lot of people, like, but in UCD, nearly all the accommodations, you have a room to yourself, and in a lot of the accommodations, you have a bathroom to yourself. Both years, I lived in en-suite accommodations, which was like I suppose different than what I would have expected in the US, but I found it really nice. It was really lovely to have my own space like that. Um, but also I think that residences is like a great way to meet people. I definitely made friends through my accommodation, and it also was a chance to sort of meet people from a lot of different places. If you're living in accommodations, it's not just international students living in accommodations, it's also Irish students, there's some study abroad students, and it's not just North American students, there are students from all over the world. So I thought that the residence experience was a really interesting sort of multicultural experience, and you got to meet a lot of people from around the world who maybe you wouldn't have encountered on campus otherwise. And along with that, you get to meet people outside of your course as well, that you might not otherwise meet. I know, like, I lived with people who were doing really different courses from me. I knew people then in medicine, I knew people in vet, like, which are really different than what I'm studying, obviously. So I thought it was a really great way to meet a range of people. And also, res life on campus does lots of activities for um, students living on campus. There are, at least when I was living there, they were doing movie nights, they would do sort of like dinners, trivia, things like that. So I think it's a really great way to get involved on campus and sort of get comfortable with living in Ireland in a sort of way that feels a bit less overwhelming and in a way that makes a community.
Thank you, Ella. You really covered a lot of it. I'm just going to touch on a little bit more with our on-campus housing. So as incoming students from North America, for our undergraduate students, we do prioritize your on-campus housing for your first year. We know you're coming a long way, and some of you have maybe never even been to Dublin before, might not have been to campus yet. So the steps for that, what will happen is that after you apply, if you receive an offer and you would like to accept your offer and deposit, usually about a day later, the housing portal will be accessible to you and you can put a deposit down and book on-campus housing. If you do book on-campus housing before or submit your housing form before May 1, then we are able to guarantee your on-campus housing for your first year. We do have a lottery system that you can do each year. If you don't get back on campus that following year, typically a lot of students will chat in their like WhatsApp groups to find like potential flatmates and things. We have a few different off-campus housing portals that we can send over as well to help with that search. And you can also contact residences for further support as well. We are currently building some more housing on campus, and you are reading correctly, single rooms. We will not force you into a double. I know that's very common in the US, so something that's a bit unique with international schools is that commonly you will find single rooms, sometimes shared bathrooms, sometimes your own bathroom, and then yes, sharing those suites, so sharing the kitchen and living room space with some flatmates and potential friends as well. Very close walk to the rest of campus. As we mentioned a few times, campus itself is very walkable and it's easy to get from one side to the other. I don't know if we've mentioned yet, but we have rain covers that cover a lot of the ground from the accommodations to your academic buildings. So if you have a little bit of a rainy day or in between classes, that comes out, you're able to walk underneath of those rain covers on your way to your academic buildings. Lots going on with different trips, different programming on campus through residences as well. And I'm going to pass it off to Jefferson to talk a little bit more about what it's like living on campus. So not just the residences, but the experiences that you have through extracurriculars and other events going on.
Thank you. I'm second year sports and exercise management. I will say my first year, I was actually really surprised with how much is going on campus, just between like getting there and finding all sorts of stuff to do between the people I met in my residences, especially. And then there's clubs, sports. There's just so much stuff to do on campus. Like at this point, I kind of find it hard to schedule my weeks because there's so many things I want to do. I would highly recommend in the first few weeks going to the clubs or the Freshers Fair, which is going to be your opportunity to sign up for all sorts of clubs. Pretty much pick whatever things you're into, and they will have a club for that. So that is really cool to check out. There's pretty much every sport you can imagine. I've done track, basketball. I'm playing American football right now, but there's soccer, volleyball, all sorts of things. And all these organizations and clubs put on their own events weekly. So there will be debates every week. There will be breakfasts, lunches. There will be tea times, food. And there's also just a huge culture of hanging out with people on campus. So there's the clubhouse, which I'm sure you will learn about at some point, which is the on-campus bar. So it's very common for after class, you go down there with your friends and have a drink or have some food or whatever. And I've just really loved that sense of community that exists on campus. And so if you put a little bit of effort in, it's really easy to make a ton of friends and find a ton of stuff to do. So
Thank you, Jefferson. That's great. Yes, we do have a pub on campus. You'll see weekly trivia, karaoke events going on, and again, something that differentiates us a little bit from U.S. schools. Lots of other things going on campus as well. You'll see our Olympic-sized swimming pool, our cinema on campus. We recently renovated our Black Box Theater. If you're interested in theater or drama, as we say. As you're looking through the different clubs or societies, I always like to note that when we say clubs, that would mean our sports, and that's, again, intramural through varsity of what you would picture in the US. I know clubs of very specific level for sports or athletics in the United States. And then our societies would be those special interests from cultural, religious groups, different academic groups. Also, our International Student Society, which is one of our most popular clubs on campus, are available as well. Here you can see a picture too of our track and also our debate chamber within our Sutherland School of Law. That top picture is of one of our recently renovated floors in the library. I really love, we have kind of these breakout rooms that you can rent if you have like a video call for like an interview, or you need to do a meeting for a school project or anything. You can rent those spaces on campus as well. And many of our academic buildings will also have some spaces that you can use to take some time to study, or study with a group of friends as well. In that gym, the jacuzzi, the dance studios, the climbing gym. So there's just lots of options for things on campus. I would like to highlight too our restaurants and cafes. We don't quite have like a set up meal plan like in the US, so it's more pay as you go. So again, you'll have that kitchen in your residences space. You'll have the Centra or the grocery store on campus where you can get that chicken fillet roll. And then you also have many restaurants, one of my favorites being the sushi bar that's in the village reception. Every new student also is assigned a peer mentor for the undergraduate level. So you'll have an upperclassman to kind of support that transition on campus. And we also have academic and student supports as well. There are 3 big signs. They're massive outside of the library that say Writing Center, Math Center, Access and Lifelong Learning, which would be our academic accommodations, and they point right into the library, so they're very easy to find. I typically recommend for our students, maybe coming from a different system, such as like the US or Canada, typically we see, I would say, maybe less graded assignments in Ireland than necessarily from a US perspective. So I recommend going in and using those resources early, and just knowing that you have access to those resources here on campus. I'm going to pass it off to Sarah to take us through our next trivia question.
Hi, everyone. Cool. So for this trivia question, I am wondering who can tell me what the bus is that brings students from Dublin Airport all the way directly to the front of UCD's campus. So the first person that can pop in that name to the chat will win. Okay, I'm seeing some come in now. So this bus goes directly from Dublin Airport, both terminals 1 and 2. You'll likely be flying into Terminal 2 if you're coming from anywhere in North America, and it'll bring you right to UCD's campus. So it's really great for students. It's very affordable. And actually with the student discount now, I think it is €8 round trip. Any of our current students, please correct me if that's wrong, but it's very great and very affordable for students. So looks like we've got some good answers in here. Air Coach is the right answer. Typically, you'll take the blue 700 bus straight to UCD, and that is the Dublin Air Coach. All right. Thanks, everyone. Moving on, if we have any rising juniors or rising seniors in the room right now, I just wanted to take a second to talk about our high school summer program. I actually see that we have some alums in the chat right now, so hello to everyone there. This is a really great program where you get a little bit of the best of both worlds. You're going to learn about the academic side of UCD, meet with the different colleges within UCD, but then you're also going to have a chance for some fun things. We'll go to a Gaelic football match in Crow Park. We'll go in and around Dublin, so you'll see a little more than just the city, and it's a really great way to kind of experience life as a student in Ireland. So thanks for everyone that's been on the program before for being here today, and looking forward to receiving some new applications from you all this year. Applications opened November 1st for this upcoming summer for the high school summer program, and the first priority deadline is February 15th. So definitely get those applications in early. All right, so now we're going to talk about studying at UCD as an undergrad student and what that looks like if you don't necessarily know exactly what you want to study coming out of high school. A lot of you may know that typically going international for college means that you are going directly into your degree, no general education classes. Say you want to study engineering, you are doing engineering from day one. We do have those options at UCD. As you'll see on this screen, that's under the direct entry column. So if you know exactly what you want to study, that is the right path for you. If you're still in that space of wondering, maybe you really like business and maybe you really like science, and you've got 2 passions and you kind of want to see which one will be best for you, I would recommend our liberal arts and sciences program at UCD. It's not a foundation year, it more so mimics the American undecided pathway. I did this myself at UCD because I knew I wanted to study business, but I had that voice in my head saying, you might not like this. What if it doesn't go very well? Just to kind of allow myself that backup option. So I really recommend it for that. There are a few exceptions. Any clinical programs, our computer science program and our law program are not accessible through this pathway, and we'll look at some of the accessible pathways in a minute. But it's just a really good option if you're kind of in the middle, and our team is always happy to chat with you as well if you're not quite sure what you're looking to study. And talking about undergrad programs, we do have over 70 undergrad programs at UCD, going from forestry and dairy business all the way to law and business and law. We've got arts and humanities, social sciences, science, computer science, engineering, really anything that you can think of at UCD. So if you have any questions about specific degrees or anything like that, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll have some contact info shortly, and we're happy to discuss, what the differences in the programs may be, or if there's a different name that you don't recognize. For example, we tend to call business commerce in Ireland, but we also do have a business degree at UCD. So if you have any questions about degrees, please don't ever hesitate to reach out. And popping back over to the liberal arts and sciences conversation, this is kind of what that pathway looks like. So your first year is that general liberal arts and sciences year, what we would call undecided here in the US. That's when you might take half of your classes in one discipline, half of them in another, or you might even take some in a third discipline to really give you that idea of the different pathways that you're looking to study. Once you track on to that program, you'll see here that some programs you track on in year 2. So agricultural sciences, food science, human nutrition, science, social sciences, and arts. There are a few exceptions to that where some of those also fall into the tracking on after year 2 pathway. But all of that to say is you should have some idea of where you're leaning to study when you come into UCD. But this does allow you the chance to say, maybe you started in business, you didn't like it, so you're going to switch to social sciences or whatever it may be. And like I said, please stay in touch or reach out with questions. This link here, the UCD Global Inquire link, is a great way to reach out to us and just make sure that you're on the right track, or set up a Zoom call if you have any questions about, what you want to study at UCD and how to go about that. And then you have all of our socials there as well if you have any questions.